Hey, it's Kevin Lyman, and we're here at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 25th anniversary of Vans Warped Tour exhibit opening. We've been hanging out all day, and bands have been dropping in. And everyone knows I'm a fan of ska, and I get my ska band, and it's a solo artist now.
No.
Are you? Wait, I was moving over to make more room over here,
Yeah.
you know, and everyone just goes, it was, for me, my roots were in ska.
Right.
And we worked together when I was working in the club still.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about with Golden Voice back in the days.
Yep. I remember you produced the Untouchables album back
Yeah.
in the day. I was a kid in L.A. at the time.
Yeah, Untouchables was one of the first bands. I was a huge fan of the Untouchables.
Right.
And they had Glenn Boy Simmons as the drummer. Remember him? And I didn't, and I was a huge fan of this band. The Untouchables were this band that could have been,
Right, yeah, they had a moment.
they had a moment, and they were my favorite band, and I would go see them at the On Club.
Okay, that's a little bit before me, but
The On Club, and then I started booking them at shows, and then all of a sudden one night I'm backstage, and they said they fired the drum tech.
no.
And I look at Glenn, I go, I can be your drum tech? And I'm digressing until we talk about the Slackers, but I have to say this story because we brought up the Untouchables, and it was really my first gig, and I'm like, I could be a drum tech. So he goes, okay, you're in. Come down to the studio tomorrow,
Right.
and we're gonna go up and we're gonna do a show with Trouble Funk and Fishbone,
Okay.
and I'm gonna be the drum tech. So I ran to Guitar Center, and I said, you got to show me, how do you work on drums? and they're like, what are you know? I go, I'm gonna be a drum tech tomorrow. I'm going on the road with. And they go, what band? I go, the Untouchables. Glenn Boy, he was like a star, pretty boy. Remember how pretty he was, good looking? I'm gonna be his drum tech. And they're like, all right, kid. So I went down to the studio, and I literally was shaking, and I picked up like a cymbal like this, and brought it back, and drove up, and we played. You played Berkeley Square, I'm sure, up
Yeah.
in Berkeley.
Sure.
And we drove up and played Berkeley Square. And the first day, Glenn goes, "You never touched a drum in your life." I go, I really can't lie, I haven't. He goes, "Okay, so guess what? We're gonna fire our road manager today. You're now the road manager." So I was a road manager on my first day on the road.
Wow.
And I stayed out with them, but then they realized I couldn't drive at night. I've never been a good driver. And if you're on tour as a new guy, you have to be able to drive at night. So that was the end of my touring at that point. So I went back to work in the clubs in Golden Voice, and that's where I think we first met.
Probably.
I ran all the shows with Golden Voice. So it was big, like 13 and 14.
Yeah.
Me and Paul would put those together.
Yeah. I was probably when I was in the other bands. I played with Donkey Show, and in the late '80s, and the Hepcat.
Fenders,
Yeah.
maybe Variety Arts Center.
Yeah, I remember both of those.
Yeah,
Variety Arts Center burned down, right?
Yeah, Fenders burned down. The old, the 83-year-old neighbor Molotov cocktailed it one night. He got sick of the punk shows, and he filled up a thing of fucking, probably his own whiskey, lit it on fire, threw it in the building, and burned everyone out.
Yeah.
Donkey Show, wow.
Yeah.
And those shows were early when Gwen Stefani, with no doubt.
Yep, she was back when they were just one of the bunch of the bands on the bill.
They were just about, they'd be like 13th on the bill, and they would wear clown suits. I think you remember, they were very clown suitish and very front forward. And we'd always say, if they ever let her be the star. And they were on the first Warped Tour in 1995, no doubt. But I always said, and Paul Tollett, who started Coachella, we were on the shows together. And they asked me and him to be the manager one time of No Doubt. And we're like, we're not really managers, and that's what Jim Garner. So, Slackers.
Yes.
On the road for how many years now?
We've been together since '91, and we've been touring 100-something shows a year since '97.
So, Road Warriors.
Yeah, 22 years.
Do you have a home now, or are you still crashing on your friends' couches,
Yeah, we try to break it up, As we get older, we do like 6 months on the road and 6 months off, basically.
And Europe still, I know.
Yeah,
and
we do Europe, a month in Europe. We're going to be there in October.
Asia, Japan?
A little bit, not as much.
Not as much as you used to. Japan?
Well, it's just, the plane tickets are so damn expensive.
Yeah. I mean, it is now. Now that I'm going to be paying for my own plane tickets, but actually start to use points. Like I thought, you can't take them with you, so I better spend them now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I got 3 million points from putting on the Warped Tour. What's that going to do? Are they going to bury you with your points? You better start using them.
You
So
should go travel around the world.
yeah, I try to get American Express to start a company called You Can't Take Them With You. Let you buy your funeral plots and caskets with your points. They said no. I actually wrote them a letter and said this would be a great company. So Slackers.
Yes.
It was awesome to have you here.
Yeah.
It was a strange call. You were going to be passing through town anyhow tonight.
Passing through, yeah. We've been doing this series of Levitt Pavilion gigs across the country.
Oh.
So different Yeah, so we were in Dayton yesterday. So
Are you playing the Levitt in Pasadena on this
we're
one?
playing the Levitt in no, the one in MacArthur Park in Los Angeles.
Fantastic. I love to go to those.
Yeah, that's in 2 weeks.
And I always have to go on the road because this is when I'd be packing up to go on the
Right.
road. And now I'm looking at there's summer concerts in the park and summer things like
You
that.
can show up. That's
so I
great.
can come out and hang out and listen to some music. And that's really what's exciting about for me today, because I'm doing this kind of stuff and concerts getting ready to go upstairs. I'm going to get to go hang out today.
Yeah, life's you're enjoying your golden years, I guess. Right?
Yeah, as I've talked to before, I'm a professor now. They let me teach your children and at USC, and things are good. But ska never goes away.
But there's something about it, man. It's a pretty obscure music from Jamaica that somehow got off the island and got into people's hearts. It got it through England into the States. It just got around. It's something universal about it. It's like we take the where it's like a cousin of boogie woogie and that old rock and roll. It's the same way that the old rock and roll never dies, right? Yeah. Like Johnny B. Good and all the old '50s rock and roll and stuff. It's ska has that same sort of thing to it.
Yeah. Are you seeing any great young ska bands starting to?
Great young ska bands. Yes, of course, my brain just went blank.
It goes blank because it's it's like
the funny thing, I was just thinking the Interrupters. I'm like, aren't they like 30 or something?
They've been around, and that's what I always said. I was always saying
Interrupters are doing great. Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I mean, there's definitely some bands they're up and coming right now. Scotch Bonnets are up and coming. Danny Raddick. Yeah, there's actually a fair amount of bands, but the thing that they're having is that there isn't a Warped Tour right now, so they're having to find platforms. So
as for me, we're definitely our hair color's changed in the 20 something years we've had, it's time for other people. And I always said that we could keep doing the ska, punk, it could be No Effects, Bad Religion, but if kids are only getting to see those bands, we have to nurture the new.
Right.
And with the Interrupters, I had to twist their arms to do Warped Tour.
Really?
Because they were kind of getting put on, Rancid shows and things like that.
Sure.
And I really thought they were the hopeful band for the scene. And to get them out on Warp that first time was a little difficult. And then I probably couldn't. I had a hard time getting rid of them. No, they're a band that great songs, have a message.
Right.
I think we're at a time when bands should have messages again.
Yeah, definitely. Messages are important.
Yeah.
It's like
So I'm glad we have mutual. A couple old guys could be fans of the Interrupters, and it was fun to see the crowd. I went out to Coachella, and that was definitely that was way out of their comfort zone. You have kids who have bought tickets and it's sold out, and it's a pop-driven hip hop or dance crowd.
Right.
And they played around 3:30, 4 in the afternoon, and me and my wife went over and we're like, and I'm looking around at first, and there's some of my friends hanging out.
Yeah.
Then I saw kids drifting over to the crowd, and when they hit the stage, there was I think it was a hip hop artist coming on afterwards, or someone more pop and current, because the crowd was kind of waiting for this. And the most fun part of that moment was watching these kids kind of get turned on and coming over. And by the time they got done, they had 4,000 or 5,000 people watching them.
Yeah.
And then you see all the young little girls, and the best thing is watching young little girls see the first mosh pit of their life.
Right.
And just their eyes light up, and they're like kind of pushing and jumping in, and and of course in a ska pit you can always usually get in there if you're not at an Oi show or something.
Right. It's kinder and gentler.
Yeah, it's gotten kinder and gentler from the early days of ska, when if you went out there some skinhead was going to pound you.
You get kicked in the head.
So keep going.
Yeah. Well, no, I was.
No, are you going to keep going?
Oh, yeah, of course we're going to keep going.
Keep going. You doing any other stuff, or is music your thing?
Music is what we do. I mean, we play 100 shows a year. We, going to be in Europe for a month in October. We got a bunch of shows in December. We're doing, like you said, like Love Pavilions in L.A. Yeah, it's a funny time because you don't really know whether you should be making an album or doing singles these days, because the music's in such flux. It's not like next year let's put out the new album and go on tour. It's like, where's the record company? Where's the support?
I just discussed that with Emery. We were discussing, is it more flow of content that comes out on
right. So we're probably going to do a couple singles. Do singles. It'll be the mid '60s again. A bunch of singles.
Which is okay once we adapt to it.
Exactly.
As we've seen the labels adapting to streaming now. There was this big shift this dynamic shift. But I have a label side, One Dummy Records, and we went through that upheaval. But I think if you made it through. there's a period that if you make it through a period, you're here.
Yes.
And
yes.
that period could have been for the Slackers. I don't know when that came during that period, but I'm sure there's a moment you guys go, can we keep going?
It was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because it was basically in the late 90s, there was a push on ska, and we were like late on it.
Yeah, the third wave.
Right, but we were kind of even behind that, and we're kind of oddballs because we're mellower and more, roots rock sounding, and so that happened, and then people are like, we were like, okay, we're ready now, and they're like, no, ska's not in this year, so it's like, oh, okay, so we had to, we had to struggle, but we just went out and we found our own shows and stayed on the road and built it up, and now we're on the other side.
And that's the thing. I don't think ska ever goes away, because some of the, bringing bands like For Me, Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish,
Sure.
that they come back and they're always live sets. And ska bands' live sets were where it was at. You always, if you bought a record, it was about reminding you about that live set.
Yeah, the live is where it's
When I signed Flogging Molly and bands like it wasn't necessarily at first about the songs. It was remembering you got hit with Guinness in the head one night, or Go Bordello, someone dumped a wine bottle on your head.
Yeah, we toured with Flogging Molly for 3 or 4 months. Yeah, like many years ago.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 25th anniversary of the band's Warped Tour. You're going to be playing upstairs. I think it's going to be a really nice afternoon. Hopefully you'll get to check out the exhibit. And I'm sitting here, I love to say with the Slackers, but I'm here with I don't want to say the slacker. That one thing that I will tell you, they are not. Being out and working as hard and having a career in this music business that lasts now couple decades, going into your third decade, is not easy. It's we work really hard to be able to do what we love to do, and we either work now out of fear or desperation because we know once you're over 40, you can't go get a job in society anyhow. No, so we only have one option. Options are limited.
We're lifers at this point. We don't really have it.
Yeah. So I appreciate you coming down, and hopefully get the chance to check out the exhibit. And so nice to see you.
Yeah.
I know. And that's how rock and roll works. We don't see each other for 23 years, and we can pick right up and have a discussion. And because we do live in a transient business where we crisscross and we're all going down different paths, and you never know what truck stop or what show you might be thrown on or what festival you on. But we all are a community, and we know what we've all been through to get here. So see you upstairs.
Yes.